Om Namo Narayana, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shivoham, Om. Welcome to another Satsang with your host, Chuck the Yogi from the Yogi Cave. Let us continue with the siddhi section of the Yoga Sutra. Alright, so where was I? Let me take a look. Yeah, I left it at that mouthful 3.21. Let's get to it. Kaya rupa samyamat tad grahya shakti stambe kakshuhu prakashas asamyoge tardanam. Through constraint on the form of the body, upon the suspension of the capacity to be perceived, that is to say, upon the disruption of the light traveling from that body to the eye, there follows invisibility. It doesn't have to be taken literally, but really what he's trying to allude to here, Patanjali, is that a yogi understands a way in which another human being perceives. Therefore, a yogi is able to blend in and disappear from a person's view, or blend in with the crowd, blend in with the surrounding, disappear, because the yogi understands perception and understands how such and such a person or humanity in general perceives. So they can stick themselves out when they need to, and they can blend in when they need to. So let's just keep it there. Let's move on to the next one. 3.22. Sa upakramam nir upakramam chakarma tat samyamat apara anta janam arishte bhyova. Karma is of two kinds, acute or deferred. Through constraint thereon, or from omens, the yogin acquires knowledge of death. So acute and deferred. So again, we're talking about these different forms of karma. Karma that is in storage, waiting to fulfill itself. Karma that is actually unveiling itself in the moment. And then karma that is yet to be produced, right? Past, present, and future. So there's been plenty of stories of yogis that understand and know. Tibetan, Indian yogis, doesn't matter. They know when they're going to pass away. They know when it's time. You don't have to be a famous yogi for that. I had a relationship. I had a friendship with somebody who was a very devoted, great devotee of Makali, right? And she knew when she was going to pass away. And she made sure that the people that she really cared about, me being one of them, was going to be there when it was her time. And she timed it. So it doesn't have to be a famous yogi or yogini to do this. As a matter of fact, most are out in the background somewhere because they know about perception. So they stick themselves out or they blend in when they want to. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. 3.23. Maitriyadishu balani. Through constraint, unfriendliness, etc., he acquires powers. Why? Well, when we're talking about friendliness, we're talking about charm. You know, that understanding that some people just have an aura of charm around them. This is what he's talking about to a certain extent. Powers as in power of attraction, the ability to charm, because the yogi understands what a person perceives. Not only a yogi, right? Politicians, good salesmen, right? They understand what they need to do to charm someone, to get them to buy something, or to get them to vote for them, or what have you. So yogis are no less in this regards, but yogis may take it a step or two further. than, say, a politician, a good politician, or a good salesman. And so the idea of siddhis, let's just call them abilities, right? That move a step or two ahead of where the general population is at. All right. 3.24. Baleshu hasti bala adini. Through constraint on powers, he acquires powers comparable to those of elements, etc. So what is this constraint on powers? Well, again, one of the key elements of yoga is restriction, nirodha, constraint. So you're not just blasting around your energy, blowing it up in smoke. No, you channel that energy, either the energy of the qing or semen, the energy of the body, the energies of nature, and you focus them like a laser towards a certain given end. This is how humanity has been able to tame nature, right? By harnessing and restricting the forces of nature. So the yogi does that in the same kind of way. And he's able to do that to such an extent that allows the yogi to acquire certain abilities that are considered by the general population as being miraculous or whatnot, but it's just the yogi is just taking things a step or two ahead, right, by that process of constraint or nirodha of the forces that are available in nature. Anyway, let's move on to 3.25. Pravriti aloka yasat sukshma vyavahita viprakrishta janam. By focusing the flashing forth of those mental activities which are sorrowless and illuminating on any object, knowledge of the subtle, concealed, and distant aspects of those objects is gained. Just like I mentioned before, if you see, let's assume that nature is holographic, if that's the case, and information is contained within any given object. And so all the yogi or yogini has to do is restrain their focus onto a given object, and like a laser reading a disc or a DVD, they can begin to pull out the information that that given object or person or what have you or phenomena contains. All right. Let's see, 3.26. Bhuvana janam surya samyamat. Through constraint on the sun, he gains knowledge of the world. Well, this is what the priests did back in ancient times, right? They would look up into the stars and they would begin to see these patterns. And they would notice, one of the first things that you can see in the ancient Egypt, pre-dynastic Egypt, is the raising of stones to be able to calculate the summer and winter solstices, which allowed them to be able to know when the raining season was coming, the inundation season, when to lay out crops, when to collect the crops, that sort of thing. That gave priesthoods of ancient times an enormous amount of power. So, by a yogi constraining themselves on movements of stars, the sun, and so on, they can get an understanding of their place in the universe. Now, I'm not going to get into the issues or the controversy of astrology or anything like that. What I'm going to say is that these astrological forces do have a certain pull on our subconscious, or on our collective subconscious, if you want to use that Jungian term. So this can also be seen in that regards as well, in regards to the realm of the unconscious or the subconscious. So, but understanding patterns whether up above or down below, is extremely important for the yogi. Because to the point that the yogi understands patterns, the yogi can understand past, present, or future of any given thing. So I'm going to leave it here because this is an ongoing, thick part of the Yoga Sutra, which can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. That's why I'm taking my sweet time with it. So let's leave it there. Om Namo Narayana, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shiva Om, Jai Ma, Jai Mahakal. Till next time.